It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio today. We are sitting down with the Kaibab National Forest. We're trying to be a little proactive on Countywide and Yavapai Broadcasting in general. Wildfire season typically starts May, June, but we start to see the effects of it already. Even the month of March, we've had 3 or 4 fires already, basically in the Flagstaff area. But Deputy Fire Staff Officer for the Kaibab National Forest, Jason Clawson's in studio with us today. Welcome, Jason, for your first initiation to Countywide.
That's right. Good morning, Paul. Thank you.
Art Gonzales is going to be here, but he had another meeting, so he could not make it. But so we're trying to be proactive. We're trying to get the word out ahead of time and get people to start thinking wildfire season. And I'm seeing it pop up all over the place. I've done a story with Yavapai County Emergency Management about the free slash drop-off program at all the county transfer stations across the areas for creating that defensible space around your home. We're trying to get everybody in that thought process. We've had the few wildfires now up in the Flagstaff area. One was an arson, which they caught the guy that did that, so that's a good thing. Allegedly did that. On my Twitter feed, I'm noticing one less spark messages. Yeah. Put your campfire out messages. Smoky bears all over the place. And so a lot of that stuff going on. We've had some wildfire training going on in the Verde Valley. I've noticed that. So we're ramping up.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's correct. Very much so. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back though. Before we start wildfire season, tell me about your winter. How was winter on the Kaibab National Forest?
Winter on the Kaibab National Forest this year has been very wet. Since January to March of 2017, we're about 140% of average.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's the third wettest months or winter in the last 23 years. Yeah, so very wet. Some very good rainstorms, a lot of snowpack, a lot of good accumulations of snow over the winter, and then even just as late as last night, about 2 inches or so. And that's a real quick little cold front that came through last night.
Isn't it amazing? Winter's, my wife is calling it second winter.
Yes.
Because March we had the few weeks of a nice warm weather, and I was telling the folks too that she went out and had her toes done and all this stuff and got ready for summer. And no, I said it's too early. We still have second winter coming.
Yeah, in the spring in the Southwest, you can well above average temperatures just a couple of weeks ago, and then now and then we get snow again. So that's typical for northern Arizona, really.
What about burning over the winter months? Because I know winter's usually pile burning season.
It is. Since October, actually going back even into October, we've had a very busy prescribed fire season, about a little over 10,000 acres for the Kaibab since October.
Is that good or is that average?
No, that's really good. That's really good. That's about average.
Okay.
We're shooting, we're roughly hope for about 16,000 acres for the year. So we had a really busy, really active fall. But then going into the winter months, late November, December, January, February, where we were extremely wet, then we transitioned into our pile burning. And last few months, we've burned across the entire forest, all the way, including the North Kaibab, across the other side of the Grand Canyon. A couple thousand acres of pile burning this winter,
Where are those piles from?
Mostly from Four Fry in the South Zone area, and then contract thinning up on the North Zone. So just contract or in-house pile, building piles and burning. So the Four Fry in the South Zone, we've generated a lot of piles, and we call them machine piles. So really large machine piles. They take about a year to dry out.
What's a machine pile made up of?
It's just all the
kind of paint a picture of the pile for me. I guess.
So you got it's not just a log. So it's primarily you take a log, or you got a tree, and you take all the limbs off of it. And they delimb the entire tree before they put it on a log truck. So it's just a big pile of slash, but it's a large pile of slash, and they use equipment to make those piles.
It's a much bigger pile than I rake up in my yard, isn't it?
Oh, it's a much bigger pile. And it takes a lot longer to dry out. So there's a lot of those across the forest. So they're on kind of a cycle. The ones the year before will burn last winter, and then the ones we created this late fall will be scheduled to burn next winter. Yeah.
You got a lot of burning planned between now and the end of the
We do. Every day is a burn day. If we get conditions, we're always looking at an opportunity and a window to do prescribed fire.
Okay, so I mean, it's always a possibility.
It's always a possibility. Yeah, we're always looking at the conditions, And this moisture, and we could talk about it a little bit more as we get into the discussion about fire season, but as we go into the spring and in early May, we're looking at all the conditions for wildfire season, manage or fires for resource benefit and prescribed fires. So we're always looking at those windows of opportunity.
Okay, so maybe we should start getting into wildfire season, because I feel like there's a period of time where we start becoming a little complacent about wildfire season, and I've heard over the last several years now that Arizona is always in a wildfire season. There is no non-wildfire season. And we had a story a few months back, and somebody had done a study, and I wish I should have pulled that story out. I meant to, but it was talking about how wildfire seasons are now far more expensive than they ever used to be, and they last much longer than they ever used to. By like months. They last much longer.
Yeah, they typically can. I mean, when you say it's always fire season in Arizona, Arizona has such a diverse range of fuel types, all the way from southern Arizona all the way to the northern Arizona. A cured grass or fine fuels throughout the year at some point can support a wildfire. It's not saying that year round we can have catastrophic wildfires. I mean, that's just a small portion of the season, in May up to monsoon season. But you could support, just the fuel types across Arizona would support a wildfire,
Now, weather-wise, things are going to start changing. And we've seen some of that. Like we talked about already in the show that the first few weeks of March was really warm and really dry. And we had a few fires up in the Flagstaff area where grasslands were starting to burn. So the snow and the rain is going to slow down. Yeah. And then we're going to get we're starting to see the winds. Like last night, that storm that came through, that was part of a cold front, but people experienced, power lines down, power poles down, lights out. And, there's portions of the Verde Valley right now that aren't going to have power for hours upon hours from now. It's these winds that are coming in. It's like, okay, we've got all this moisture and things are wet, and that's where I feel like, we start getting complacent. Well, everything's really wet because of the winter, but we've got these 30 and 40 mile an hour winds that are pretty much become a daily thing. So that wind changes what the winter did. It does.
And we could be, if we're sitting at 140% of average on moisture right now, blue skies and average temperatures and 30 mile an hour winds dry things out extremely fast. So before this last little set of storms, we were getting back into, we could easily support a good fire. And that's what we saw up on the Coconino, the Kendrick. And it was mainly a grass fire and light fuels, but the grass was still dormant. It was still dry. It was cured. It hasn't really gone up into green up just yet. So it could, even though the temperatures were low, the grass was dry. So that's where that fire moved through.
We're going to have a bumper grass crop this year, are we not? It's going to happen.
Yes, we're already seeing it in the southern portions of our region, Arizona, New Mexico, the Coronado and the Tucson area, the Lincoln and the Gila, and the southern parts of New Mexico are already in fire season right now. They had a really good grass crop, and they've had several fires this year already.
So when we were talking about a grass crop, maybe we could paint a picture. You know what? Let's take our break. We'll come back with grass crops after we take our break, okay? Deputy Fire Staff Officer Jason Clawson from the Kaibab National Forest in studio today. This is Countywide. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes.
The Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm Shawn Mendes.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
Ed Sheeran.
What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber.
You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. You'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
This was me. And Mom and Dad. And my big brother Alex. And Jack. And this was the day that I learned that sandals get their name from sand. That jellyfish aren't made of jelly. That stars don't just come from the sky. that the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget that I was sick. And it changed everything. This was my wish.
I call you and say, I'm with the IRS. You owe back taxes, and if you don't pay today, you're going to jail. You can fix this by sending cash. And you actually believe me? Too smart to fall for it? Well, last year, Americans paid $100 million to guys like me. 1 in 6 people were scammed. Can you believe it? Well, you shouldn't. I just made that up, too. You are a little gullible.
Welcome back to Countywide. Jason Clawson from the Kaibab National Forest in studio. Today we are talking wildfire season and pretty much how the winter went. We've also got Pete Gordon from the Prescott National Forest coming in this month, as well as Vic Morfin from the Coconino National Forest. So we've got a nice idea, and I'll see if I can get somebody from Tonto National Forest in as well to talk a little bit about how things are going on their forest, because folks really enjoy these shows and having you guys come in and let us know how things are going. So we were talking about bumper grass crop before we left.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm from the Midwest right now.
Yeah, so with all that moisture we've had over the winter, we're definitely seeing, as we come into northern Arizona, a lot of green in the green up. So all that grass, all that moisture starting to come up. It looks all pretty and beautiful and nice and lush.
And
now.
wet.
Wet, yes.
Right, the roads are still closed. We can't be driving on the roads.
Right.
Forest Services don't get on the roads right now because they're still very wet.
No.
We got, there's still patches of snow out in the forest.
There is.
You know?
There is on north slopes, it's a lot of snow still.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so all that lush green grass, it's all still wet now, but it's gonna dry out soon. It's gonna cure, so it's gonna turn brown. Yeah. So
how long does that take? Because you're mentioning, so the southern part of Arizona, along Mexico and New Mexico, they had this great grass crop come up. My wife's talked about driving to Phoenix and seeing all the flowers and all the green grass. But how long does it take once you get these, like you said, the sun's up longer? Yeah. Sky's a lighter blue, and then we've got the winds coming as well. So how long does it really take for that to happen?
It really doesn't take long, but it does depend on the daytime temperatures, the blue sky, and the wind. If we can get a week of that, the wind really dries out the fuels really fast, especially the finer fuels, the needle cast, and the grass. So it'll be green, and then within a week, if the conditions are right, I mean it'll just be brown within a couple of weeks, really. It won't last long. Okay. No.
I noticed the plants in Arizona, they do what they need to do, and they get it done quick.
Yeah, they do.
We need to grow, seed, boom, drop.
They do, exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of how nature works around here.
It does.
It has to move fast because, it's the desert. So, I mean, you've got a limited window of opportunity, so better make it count.
Yeah,
better make it count. Absolutely. All right, so that's something else we want to think about then is one less spark messages are coming out, and I think it was near Wilhoit. Near Wilhoit, there was a pickup truck towing a horse trailer. Chain was bouncing off the pavement and ignited several fires.
It did.
I forgot about that one there.
Just a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was a week ago this past Sunday.
Yeah.
When was that happened?
Yeah, the One Less Spark campaign, that's been out for a couple of years now, but it's been a very effective, fire prevention message, absolutely. With the, like you mentioned, with the tow chains, weed eaters, lawnmowers, that kind of stuff, that anything that you can think of that can basically create a spark can start a wildfire.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's great. So it's a really great message. It really resonates with people.
People think lawnmower. Well, there's a rock in your yard, and the blade hits that rock and sends it flying, and it sparks, and there it is. Yeah. And it is amazing that I think people have a hard time believing that a spark can do something like that, but it is most definitely true.
Yeah, everything. Every fire starts with just one little spark. So
one little spark. Yeah,
I know.
And what is it? 90% of wildfires are human caused. 8 out of 10.
Probably. I mean, we usually use about half. Half of wildfires are started by human cause. So.
I bet it's way above that.
It's probably is.
I'm pretty sure we've got a message that says 90% of wildfires are human caused.
Well, that might be in some areas, but that is a little bit high. But no doubt. I mean, one human caused fire is one too many.
Yeah, and we've seen some big ones. That's for sure. Let's go. Okay, so that's wildfire. So everybody just needs to keep an eye. And then the other things about one less spark is don't park over tall, dry grasses with your vehicle. Keep your vehicle maintained properly so you don't have flat tires and then the rims spark. That sort of thing, sending sparks off. Catalytic converters, you don't want to be over the top of tall grass. We've seen catalytic converters fall apart. There's nothing a person can do about that in their car, but it falls apart and pieces get shut out the tailpipe, and then all of a sudden you got all these fires along the side of the road. So those are all things to take into consideration. How are the 4 fry projects coming along? 4
fry projects are, across all 4 forests, the Kaibab, Coconino, the A-Bar-S, Apache Sitgreaves, and the Tonto National Forest are all still very active, both on the mechanical side as well as the prescribed fire side. So we're still moving forward. A lot of communication and coordination between both shops specifically. Of course, a lot of other functions are involved, but fire and fuels and the timber side really have to communicate and coordinate throughout the year to make sure that we're all kind of in track. But acres are they're doing pretty good across the 4 forests. They could be a little bit better. But progress has still been really good. Yeah.
Do you see the 4 fry project as something that's going to just become part of life for the rest of our lives?
I think so. Timber management, logging in the Southwest, it should still be here for, it should sustain, through our lives, absolutely. It's part of forest health, I think.
It was gone for a very long time.
It was gone for a very long time.
And now it's back. I don't know if it's back fully, but it's definitely back in a sense that it's going to do some cleanup out there.
Absolutely. It plays a really important role in relation to fire, especially with the wildland-urban interface, where the homes are built right into the forest. Some of those forests are so thick that we can't just treat those forests with fire. So a lot of times we got to come in with mechanical first. And then bring in fire after that. So it's still a very, very important part in forest health.
They get rid of the thickness, and you come in and burn off the forest floor, and it pops back up, and hopefully it's a happier place, and not quite as volatile.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, so that takes care of 4 fry as well. When Art Gonzales was in here last year, we kind of touched on the subject a little bit. He had noticed that there was a definite influx of people on the Kaibab National Forest, that more and more folks are coming up out of the south especially, and they hit the Sedona Red Rock District, the Prescott National Forest as well. That seems to start to fill up. Oak Creek Canyon is just crazy in the summertime. And then the Coconino National Forest, it's almost like people said, wow, this place is really filling up too. And now they've discovered the Kaibab National Forest. It's a little bit farther to go, but I might be able to camp and not have somebody right next door to me.
Exactly.
So are you guys kind of prepared for that or looking at that?
We are. We anticipate that every year. But as the temperatures rise in the valley, folks come up I-17. Of course, they get to the Coconino National Forest, Prescott, Coconino first. But things fill up very quickly in the forest, and then they start migrating west, and then they see the Kaibab. The same recreation, the same elevation, the forest type, everything as a Coconino.
Well, look at this little jewel out here with no one in it.
Exactly. There's lakes, there's it's just the outdoors, and there's no people. So there's a little bit more room to spread out, but it is extremely popular. But every year we anticipate that overflow from the other forests out onto the Kaibab, and they tend to want to stay a little bit longer on the Kaibab as well because there's a little bit more room to spread out.
Have you guys started training for wildfire season yet?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Our fire seasonals, we bring on seasonal workforce every year. So they'll be coming on middle of April. Okay. Between middle of April and then the middle of May. So we kind of stagger them out. Our helicopter will be on May 1st, but we will be fully staffed, as we come into fire season in May.
Ready to respond.
Ready to respond. Yeah, that's the same for all forests. The southern forests, obviously the fire season a little bit sooner, so their folks will come on a little bit early. Their resources come on a little bit earlier. And us in northern Arizona, we can come on a little bit later.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
It does. Elevation. And we have a full-time workforce that's there year-round. We've already supported the Coronado with 2 engines this year already. They've had a few fire starts to southern Arizona. So.
See, that's what makes that wildfire season so much longer. Let's take another break. Kaibab National Forest Deputy Fire Staff Officer Jason Clawson in studio today. This is Countywide. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
The Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm Shawn Mendes.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
Ed Sheeran.
What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber.
You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. He'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
I didn't know where my life was going. With Wounded Warrior Project's help, I was able to get my life back in order. I thank Wounded Warrior Project not only for helping me, but also helping veterans that I know that are dealing with the same struggles that I am. Wounded Warrior Project understood what I was going through. I'm grateful that Wounded Warrior Project helped me reestablish my life. I am living proof.
Hello, I'm Jen Cohen, host of Verde Valley TV's hit TV show, The Verde Valley Experience. On each episode, we feature local organizations, nonprofits, persons of interest, events, activities, and great local musicians. It's informative, it's entertaining, it's fun. It's the Verde Valley Experience.
We meet online, and I tell you, I'm falling in love. I have to see you in person, but I need a loan for the ticket. I really think you're the one. And I really think you're desperate. Sure enough, you send cash and never see me again. Too smart to fall for this? Last year alone, 12 million Americans lost money this way. Can you believe it? You shouldn't. I made that up, too. Might not be as smart as you thought you were.
Welcome back to the program. We've got just a couple minutes left. Two other things we've got to nail. We do it all the time, and we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it over and over and over again. Campfires.
Campfires. Yes, campfires, it's an ongoing issue every single year.
Mm-hmm. It got worse last year.
It did.
As a matter of fact, it's gotten worse over the last few years.
It has, and specifically on the Coconino. I mean, a much larger population base and a bigger visitor use, but we had on the Kaibab, several abandoned campfires as well, and it's just it's a yearly education process that we're having to go through, but extremely important. But yeah, we just continue to spread the message about
put the campfire out. You can't walk away from it for any period of time.
Absolutely. If you're going to go camping, you're going to spend time in the woods, on the forest. Bring the stuff with you need, a shovel, water, and don't leave it. If you have a campfire, put it out. Put it out. Yeah. Jason, if I bag my trash and leave it on the side of the Forest Service Road, will you come by and scoop that up for me and take it to the nearest dumpster? We prefer not to, but if you can, take it with you. But if you don't have any means to put it in the car with you, you got the kids or grandma and the dogs or something there with you, leave it on the road and we'll come by and get it. Absolutely. Oh, that's opening a window right there. It is. But if you're going to put it in a bag, that's one thing. That's a good start. I suppose we do have campsites where you pull up and there is just mountains of trash. I've seen those campsites. Absolutely. And I'm always like, oh my God, this is awful. If you're going to leave it in a bag, we prefer that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You just don't throw it on the side of the road. Yeah, the sleds, the trash. It's a common problem. There is no trash service. No. In dispersed camping on the Kaibab National Forest. Now, the campgrounds and stuff, Coconino National Forest, they opened a few of their things early, and they don't have the trash service yet. Mm-hmm. It's still early. It's still early. But I believe it's starting up this weekend. Yeah. But, you cannot bag your trash and leave it on the Forest Service roads. That was a big problem last year. We heard that from Highlands Fire and Coconino National Forest, especially. We're talking about how bad it was. Just pack it in, pack it out. You bring it in, take it out with you. Exactly, take it with you. All right, Jason, thank you very much for coming in. Welcome, thank you. I appreciate it very much. So that is Jason Clawson, Deputy Fire Staff Officer from the Kaibab National Forest. That is today's Countywide. Thanks for watching, listening, and we will talk to you again next time.